Hey, what's up guys, it's Lee, and this video is going to be for aspiring photographers. So if you are somebody who's thinking about photography, if you are dabbling in photography, this video is going to be for you. And basically what you're going to take away from this video, hopefully, is going to be basically answering some questions that you're already kind of thinking about, or maybe some things that maybe you have not thought about just yet when it comes down to starting your journey as a photographer. So I'm going to be looking down periodically throughout this video because I have some notes here. So let's just get into the video. So one of the very first things I want to kind of focus on is going to be gear related, right? Because let's face it, whenever we think about photography, we watch videos on gear reviews and the latest camera that's coming out and what camera did you take this with? What lens did you take this with? All these things, we're really hyper focused on the gear and what lenses people used. But I want to kind of point out that all that is fantastic. And I actually get excited about those videos as well. It is fun to kind of guess and to look at images and think about the lighting and what flashes they use and how they actually capture the actual photo. It's exciting, but I just want to kind of help to level set some things that maybe you haven't thought about, but maybe you should, right? So the first thing that I have for you guys is I want to let you know that you definitely should invest in quality gear. But I think that it's more important to focus on your photography skills over the gear that you're going to purchase. I think that as a whole, developing your eye as a photographer is going to be very important. Also, mastering the basics of photography is going to be very high up on that list. So understanding, ISO, aperture, shutter speed, how all that plays into one another, composition, how to get, the best lighting, the different settings to get a certain look, like those are going to be the things that are going to really help to establish and build your skill set as a photographer. And by the time you get ready to buy some of that higher end lenses or gear and things like that, your photos are going to be so much better because you have mastered those things. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is something else that I think it's easy to get hung up on, but that is camera systems. Like, what should you pick? There's Canon, there's Sony, there's Nikon, there's Fuji. Like, what should you go with? Sometimes it can be a difficult decision, right? But I'm here to tell you that in many ways it doesn't matter. But what does matter most is that you stick with the same camera system that you choose to go with. And the main reason that you want to be sure about that, and that can sound like it's added pressure, but you want to be sure about it more so because in the future, you're going to buy what we just talked about, more gear, right? So you're going to acquire more lenses and things like that. And you want to stick with an ecosystem so that you're not wasting money. If you buy a Fuji and then a Canon and then a Sony and then you have lenses for each one of those, oh my gosh, unless you have super deep pockets, like that's going to be a nightmare. Okay. So you want to pick a camera system that feels comfortable to you, that maybe the color science looks great. The menu system feels good. You can find the settings really easily. It feels natural and comfortable for you. And a lot of times that's just the camera system that you start off with, right? That camera system that you first start taking camera photos with is the one that you stick with for years and years. And so it doesn't have to be that way, but a lot of times that's just what you're the most comfortable with, you're the most familiar with, and that's perfectly fine. The only other thing I would say to think about is the system itself and your ability to actually, purchase third-party lenses, because third-party lenses are very, very high quality lenses. They're not going to be as expensive as the proprietary lenses. And basically that is going to help to save you money, time, and effort in the future, just thinking about all these different things. The only thing that I will say when it comes down to the different lenses that you might acquire in the future is think about whether or not you are going to start off with a full frame camera or if you're going to grow into a full frame camera, because that can determine what type of lenses that you start to purchase. So if you start off with a APS-C camera, those lenses are really going to just be best for an APS-C camera. And you want to probably start investing in a full frame lens before you buy your full frame camera body, for instance, right? So just think about those different things as it relates to the gear you're going to acquire. So that's something that I wish I knew. Now, the next thing that I got caught up on was whether or not I should get a zoom or a prime lens. This is like a debate as old as time. Everyone always talks about whether you should get a zoom or a prime. And honestly, when it comes down to it, I think that in many ways, it's personal preference, number one. And then number two, a lot of lenses that are zoom lenses are very sharp. They take phenomenal photos. The only thing that I will say about a prime lens is that a lot of times prime lenses, I feel like, challenge you a bit more because it requires you to move your body and to actually get that composition as you're taking the photo, thinking through the composition that you're trying to get to. I feel like a prime lens is a little bit better with that in terms of the process that you go through mentally. And then also, I mean, prime lenses in many ways can be sharper. They have a more shallow depth of field as well as zoom lenses. So your images are going to have a different look. And so you have to think about the style that you want to develop into, the type of images you're looking to take, and what environments you're going to be taking them in as well, right? If you're in lower light situations, obviously you want a lower aperture lens, and that's going to be probably a prime lens. So some things to think about. The next thing that I wanted to touch on is developing your personal style. So when it comes down to becoming a photographer, we all want to have that style, right? So we all know of photographers out there that when you look at that image, you know who took it, right? The way that the color is, the image itself. There's so many different elements. The composition, is it wide angle? Is it tight? Like, is it cropped in? Like, there's so many telltale signs in terms of when you look at images, determining and thinking about who actually took it, right? And so I think that that's something that also is something easy to get caught up on, right? When you're just starting out. But one of the things I want to say about that is that you should not get too caught up on that. I think that your style is going to come in time, number one, in terms of the way that you take your photos, the images that you take, the way that things catch your eye, the themes that you're going to start to see unfold in the photos that you take. Those are things that are going to come together over time. So don't rush that process because it's a wonderful process. Don't rush it. It's going to feel natural. And before you know it, that style is going to be established. And it's also nothing wrong with dabbling and trying and experimenting with different styles, right? So if you see some dark and moody photographers out there that you are like, wow, I really like that style. Like, I like that, right? Go ahead, go at it. Develop that style. Start to take images that way. See if you like it. Bright and airy, colorful, muted tones. Like, there are going to be so many different options out there that you can kind of pick from. Dabble in all those until you feel like you found something that feels natural to you, and go from there. Now that leads me into the next piece. And the next piece is all about post-processing, right? I think that as an aspiring photographer, this is something that sometimes people get a bit overwhelmed with. When it comes down to photography, post-processing is just part of being a photographer. So you definitely shouldn't shy away from learning how to edit your photos. You want to use different software like Lightroom or Photoshop, and you want to learn how to use them, learn how to, make the images look the way that you want them to look. And over time, back to the style we just talked about, you're going to develop an editing style as well. And then your images are going to, again, start to take form in another way. After you've taken the photo, now you're going to be able to transform them even more into the way that you want. And again, this is all going to lead to that finished product, that finished image where people are going to be able to tell that you are the one who took that photo. And they're going to be asking you questions about how you took it and what was your lighting and what were your camera settings? What did you do to edit the photo? So these are some things that I think are going to be really important that you should also think about. And then the last piece that I want to share with you, which is something else that I think is really important, is I think that you should also make sure you find a community of photographers in your area, people that you can become friends with, a group that you can join. Because one of the main things for me when I got plugged into a local community where I live, I feel like my photography skills really went to the next level. And that's really because you are around like-minded people, you're around creative people, and you're around people that have a lot more experience than you when it comes down to photography. And you can learn different techniques when it comes down to how they're taking images, why they took a photo that way. You can look at the camera settings that they might have. You can ask them questions like on the spot, like, hey, I noticed that you did X, Y, and Z. Why did you do it that way? And then you're going to discover and learn about other things that you had not even thought about. So for instance, for me, when I got plugged into a local community here where I live, one of the things that I got introduced to that I just had no clue about was off-camera flash. There was this guy and he was using like this, it looked like a flash. I was like, what is that? And it was during the day and he was using it. And I'm like, why are you using flash outside? That's weird, And I got his Instagram and we were talking. He told me about the device he was using. It was a strobe. And he told me about how it worked. And, I looked at the images on his Instagram and they were like amazing. Like they were so good. I was like, wow, like this guy is taking phenomenal photos. And I had no idea that people used strobes outside. Didn't even know what that was. And so that got me into off camera flash. And so now I use off camera flash, right? And I love it. And I think that it's taken my images to another level, right? And the only reason I feel like I'm able to use off camera flash effectively is because I do have a strong base in terms of understanding the basics of photography we talked about, right? ISO, shutter speed, aperture, all those things, knowing how it all functions together and what you need to actually get a really nice photo. So those are some other things that I think that you should be thinking about. So I hope this video was helpful. I know this is for me is kind of a more of a on the fly kind of video. I didn't script it or really write down like what I'm going to be talking about in this video, but I just kind of wanted to think through like, hey, what are some things that when I first started photography that I thought about and that my mind kind of like really got stuck and hung up on that maybe you guys might be thinking about as well. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you did find it to be helpful, definitely hit the like button. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. I try to make videos every week. This channel really is going to be kind of just geared towards anybody who is creative. So if you're a photographer, if you're a videographer, somebody who wants to make YouTube videos, whatever, my goal on this channel is to make content for creators, essentially. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.